Danielle, let's start with you. You are 22 years old. I follow you on Instagram. How did you get this following? How did you build this business?
I mean, we were what started about 4 years ago as a street style blog. I literally picked up a camera and taught myself how to use it. And about 6 to 8 months into it, I realized that personal style was a business I could grow. So I turned the camera on myself, and 4 years later, here I am.
How does it make money?
There's a few different ways bloggers make money, through affiliate marketing, through sponsored content. I mean, there's Instagram content that's sponsored as well, so it really depends what brands want to do.
So, Scott, who do you bet on? Do you bet on editors of magazine? I mean, Anna Wintour has had her position at Vogue longer than Danielle has been alive. I don't follow Anna on Insta. I don't even know if she's on Insta, and I follow Danielle. I mean, I know what wallpaper she's got in her foyer. How did this happen?
Yeah, well, first, I mean, it's just super impressive. You bet on young entrepreneurs like yourself, but every time you hear a siren, it's a print Vogue reader dying or someone who will read a blog being born. So the future's definitely, the puck is headed towards blogs like that, absolutely.
But just in terms of their ability to displace traditional media, or are they able to displace other pieces of the fashion ecosystem?
I think the answer is yes. I think that it's gonna have an impact on both. Your business is a difficult business because the CPMs are tougher, which forces you to be more lean.
What's CPMs?
I'm sorry, price per 1,000 viewers is typically how that media is sold. How many people watch it? My guess is you sell ads the same way here at Bloomberg Television, but effectively they're saying we're selling eyeballs. And the thing about your community that's so impressive is you've been able to build content at near the same quality, but for a lot less money, so they can operate much more leanly than the folks with all the town cars wrapped around at Condé Nast.
What do you think of traditional media? Do you open the pages of Vogue and Elle and get direction?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to compare the two because bloggers represent a real women and a real view on fashion, whereas Vogue is, you know, more an aspirational view. So I think when you're working with a blogger, it's not only the numbers, but it's the demographic is so specific to the consumer that it really makes sense for a lot of brands to work with us.
But you still love super expensive, high-end things.
Of course. I mean, I try and keep my blog the perfect mix of relatable and aspirational, so I really love to mix highs and lows because not all of my followers can afford, you know, a $700 pair of shoes, so I like to mix it in with a $20 dress.
But couldn't InStyle say the same thing?
Sure, but I think with bloggers, your followers have grown to trust you, and specifically as a person, they look to me with what to wear.
So, to what degree do you... So you need advertising, obviously, right?
Yes.
To what degree do you worry about crossing the line between editorial independence and becoming captive to your advertisers?
I mean, with my blog, I'm a part of a platform right now that handles all my advertisement. So separately from that, I work with an agency that handles my sponsored content and, you know, photo shoots that I do and stuff like that. So I try and keep it a little bit separate.
But couldn't you make the same argument when one would criticize magazines? So those who say, well, these bloggers, they're getting paid, you could say the same thing of any magazine.
The line was crossed a long time ago. The New York Times is running native advertising. Google, the most successful media company in the world, is selling keywords. So
how do you... Okay, so then the question is, if you're in Danielle's business, how do you preserve your authenticity in that kind of a world where, you know, there are pitfalls?
You have great, authentic content, which is my sense is you have, and your readers are smart. Readers are smarter than they think they are. As long as you're transparent, this is paid for, this is in, this is not. Some of the paid for content is great stuff. The New York Times native content on Orange is the New Black show was great. And just because it was paid for doesn't mean it's not of interest to people. So as long as you're transparent, I'd say no worries.
How does it, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, with paid content, I mean, even if a brand was offering to pay me a lot of money, if it doesn't truly fit my style, I won't work with the brand. So I've stayed true to my style throughout the 4 years of doing this. And I think my followers can see that, and that's why they choose to follow and trust me.
How does a blogger like Danielle truly unlock the value of her business? Does she want to sell it? If Anna Wintour came a knockin' and said, you're right, you are the next visionary, I want to buy your business. Condé Nast
Let me know if that
buy
happens, first of all.
Yeah.
It's like, call me. Is that how she unlocks her value?
Well, typically bloggers bring a couple things. They bring an authenticity, a new voice, and they usually bring a younger audience. And no one ever
Vogue needs a younger audience.
No brand ever says we have too many 18 to 30-year-old fashionable thought leaders. You never hear a brand say that. Oh, we need more 75-year-olds. You don't hear that a lot. So You bring an audience and authenticity, and also you bring a business model. You're leaner and meaner.
How do you scale, Danielle?
As far as bigger and greater things?
Right. How do you do more, right? Because ultimately your audience is going to demand more from you. So how do you do it while making it still Danielle?
Right. Well, I think at this point with my blog, it's more about bigger and better projects. So design collaborations, getting into video. I'm working on writing a book right now, which is the first time I'm announcing it, actually. So, I mean, I think there's just a lot more and different kinds of parts of the fashion industry I can get into. Video content is a big part of that.
Then let's just talk about Fashion Week for a moment, because what you're doing is true street style. Your overhead is so tiny. Look at the millions of dollars that get spent on this Fashion Week circus.
Yeah, it's crazy. But you see a lot of the smaller brands don't participate anymore. Fashion Week's gone from B2B. People used to come and actually write orders. Now, anyone who's buying can find the stuff. They don't need to come to Fashion Week, but it's become B2C, where it's a platform for a brand.
What does that mean?
Business to consumer. So it used to be actually writing orders. Now it's an opportunity for a brand to present their stuff in a controlled environment and hope that people, like Danielle, take a ton of pictures and spread it to a much broader audience. It's become really more of a branding event. The thing that's replaced the smaller brands has been some of the specialty retailers like Banana Republic and J. Crew are now doing their own fashion.
Right. Yeah, J. Crew had their presentation this morning, actually.
Yeah. And what have you
seen? What have you seen that you liked?
Oh my God, I've been to so many shows over the past 4 days. Just yesterday was Philip Lim, the day before Derek Lam. They're all top designers, and it's such an honor to be sitting front row at some of them.
Can you believe that you're 22 years old?
No.
And that's what you're
Stop
doing?
reminding me. I mean, I think I've always grown up pretty young, and I've done a lot for 4 years of blogging, but there's always more, and I have so much time to grow that I'm very honored.